En 1944, sur le plateau du Port de l'Angoisse, Bogart rencontre Lorraine Bacall, un jeune mannequin de 18 ans. Les deux acteurs vont bientôt devenir un couple de légende.
What'd you do that for?
Been wondering whether I'd like it.
What's the decision?
I don't know yet. It's even better when you help.
The chemistry was so great. Film came out, she became this overnight sensation. It's hard to describe now because we have so much media now and people become so famous so quickly. But in those days, it wasn't that easy to become that famous that quickly. But at that time, and I was around at that time, I was a kid, but I remember nobody talked about anything but Lauren Bacall for a while. She caused this huge sensation.
By World War II, Humphrey Bogart was one of the biggest stars in Hollywood. He could command prices, films, do anything he wanted. Bogart was the thing. He was the cool guy. He was the cool guy in Hollywood.
1944 is the invasion year. That means more blood plasma, more bandages for our wounded, more aid and comfort for our prisoners of war, more aid to our fighters and their families.
Son statut de star fait de lui l'un des acteurs les plus sollicités pour soutenir les troupes américaines. Malgré la participation active des studios à l'effort de guerre, un climat de suspicion s'installe progressivement à Hollywood. À l'heure où débute la guerre froide, on reproche à Jack Warner ses films de propagande pro-soviétique tournés pendant le conflit, comme Mission à Moscou.
Mission to Moscow is my report to the American people as ambassador of the United States to the Soviet Union. I wrote it as I saw it and lived it. Warner Brothers have courageously filmed it.
Mission to Moscow, the behind-the-scenes story of every world-shaking crisis of our day.
Roosevelt administration had asked him to do something like this, and so he did. It was for our ally, Soviet Union. When the war ends, Soviet Union is no longer a U.S. ally, and that's where trouble begins. And that's where the studio is accused of being communist sympathizers.
New York's annual Loyalty Day parade is reviewed by General of the Army Douglas MacArthur. Up windswept Fifth Avenue, the marchers bear the proud flags as they affirm their allegiance to the United States.
The political atmosphere in Hollywood in the early 1950s was quite mixed. Hollywood had been a very progressive place in many instances, became more conservative at the end of World War II. There was a great fear of the communist menace, and that studio heads especially were being pressured by sponsors and by politicians to weed out any people with communist sympathy.
Pour avoir appartenu aux jeunesses communistes à la fin des années 1930 et pour son positionnement politique à gauche, le scénariste Walter Bernstein a été l'une des victimes de la chasse aux sorcières à Hollywood au début des années 1950.
There was a book that came out called Red Channels, and that was a list of about 160, 170 names of people suspected and of having left-wing affiliations. It was put out by a couple of ex-FBI men. And if you were in Red Channels, you were automatically blacklisted unless you went and you cleared yourself. And clearing yourself meant not only saying, I'm sorry, I won't do this again, but also naming names. That was the basis of it. You had to name names.
Are you a member of the Communist Party? Or have you ever been a member of the Communist Party?
It's unfortunate and tragic that I have to teach this committee the basic principles of Americanism.
The question is, have you ever been a member of the Communist Party?
I am framing my answer in the only way in which any American citizen can frame his
then
answer
you
to
denied,
a question
then you
absolutely invades
then
his
you
right.
denied, you refused to answer that question. Is that correct?
I have told you that I will offer my beliefs, my
There were a lot of brave people there and a lot of frightened people. And it was what you realize is that it was a kind of exercise in humiliation They were bringing people before the committee and saying to them, you know, collaborate with us, or you'll never work again. You'll be ostracized.
Une menace fermement dénoncée par une trentaine de personnalités du monde du cinéma, dont Bogart et Bacall, lors d'une manifestation devant la Maison-Blanche le 27 octobre 1947. Un événement très médiatisé, mais peu apprécié de la Warner, soucieuse de ne pas ternir son image.
The studio said to them, okay, you did this enough, no more. You know, and they all shut up, really.
Un mois après la marche menée par Bogart et Bacall à Washington, les représentants de l'industrie cinématographique, parmi lesquels Harry et Jack Warner, dénoncent, eux, l'influence des communistes à Hollywood.
You may have heard that communism is rampant in Hollywood and in the motion picture industry. I tell you, this industry has no sympathy with communism, fascism, Nazism, or any ism other than Americanism.
Under this new heightened scrutiny from Congress, Jack Warner caves. He gives in to the House Un-American Activities Committee and starts naming some names. And it's a low time for him. It's not a proud moment in his life.
Wherever they may be, I say let us dig them out and get rid of them. My brothers and I will be happy to subscribe generously to a pest removal fund. We are willing to establish such a fund to ship to Russia the people who don't like our American system of government and prefer the communistic system to ours.
It was one of the most embarrassing things that's ever happened in this country, that it was allowed to happen, till finally it came to a roaring end and destroyed so many lives. There were suicides because of it, broken marriages because of it, people losing their careers for all time because of it, and it was a disgrace.
I think it actually destroyed the golden years of Hollywood and the camaraderie and, you know, the feeling that I don't think we ever have gotten back since then.
À la Warner, l'ambiance n'est plus celle des grands jours. Certains acteurs commencent à remettre en cause les contrats de longue durée qui les lient au studio. Aux archives de la Warner Bros. À l'université USC, on trouve des cartons entiers de correspondance entre Jack Warner et ses acteurs sous contrat. Autant de témoignages des rapports houleux entre le studio et ses stars.
This is the contract here that Bette Davis signed with Warner Brothers. She didn't have a great deal of control over what roles she would play, what kinds of films that she would be in. She did want to do some different things and have an opportunity to expand as an actress. She sued the studio in the 30s, unsuccessfully, unfortunately.
Dans ce courrier daté de 1942, Bette Davis se plaint personnellement de ne pas recevoir de meilleurs rôles. Sur un coin de la page, une note de Jack Warner à son secrétaire. « Roy, faut qu'on se voie. Mais pas de précipitation. Ne lui réponds pas. » En 1942, Bette Davis est pourtant l'une des plus grandes stars de Hollywood. Elle a déjà gagné 2 Oscars et tourné plus de 40 films pour le studio. On la surnomme parfois même le 5e frère Warner.